Right, good afternoon. I'm QZ. I hail from Angel Hack, and it's been my sixth Force Asia actually. I remember coming here back in 2018, back at the Learning Institute in Singapore, so I'm glad. This is my first time in Hanoi. It's been beautiful. The weather is so much better than Singapore. So today I'm going to be talking about different approaches to growing and sustaining developer ecosystems. I think that this is somewhat relevant to the open source community. Ultimately, it's developers that keep our software alive. And what we do at Angel Hack is that we engage and grow different developer ecosystems. I think some of you might have heard of Angel Hack for quite a few years ago. Back in 2016 and 2018, we used to do a lot of hackathons around the world. Some of them were in Saigon. We had some folks here that were mentors at Angel Hack. And on behalf of Angel Hack, I'd like to thank you for participating all those years ago. So, a bit about Angel Hack. Oh, it's a bit laggy. Okay. So, what do we do? As the name suggests, we do hackathons. And over the years, we have done quite a lot of hackathons, and thousands of projects have come out of them. And so I think our experience running different hackathons across the world has given us quite an interesting view of this paradigm of engaging developers. In our vocabulary, we call them developer activations. And today I'm going to share a bit about different taxonomies of hackathons. Each of them have different outcomes. And as a student, or as a community leader, or as a developer relations team member, you might want to consider designing your hackathons for the kinds of outcomes that you want. So, here's a quick taxonomy of hackathons, right? In my opinion, there are three general types of hackathons. And as a student, you will kind of move through different types of hackathons. I personally have been in all three different types. And I think we'll start with the first one. So the goal of an education type hackathon is to lower the barrier of entry to the product or to the ecosystem that you would like to engage. And generally what we do is that, we are Asian, right? Like competition is in our blood. But that is kind of against the goals of an education hackathon. What we have done over the years is that we would create multiple bounties so that more people can win, so that more people are motivated to participate and to try the different developer tools and products that people would like you to use during the hackathon. So as a student, when you go for hackathons and you're here to learn, right? I know it can be very daunting, can be very scary. Like, oh, this is like my first time going for a hackathon. I only learned to code in Python or JavaScript like 4 weeks ago. I'm not sure if I'm going to win, right? We've all been through these anxieties. And so education type hackathons are meant to be friendly. And when you are getting started, these are the best types. So what do you see in these education hackathons, right? Primarily, you will notice that there are many, many different small prize pools, right? There might even be educational bounties where you get rewarded for trying some of the developer tools that you get to do. There's a lot of somewhat hand-holding in a sense where there might be more kind of like protracted onboarding processes where you might be onboarded slowly to figure out like, oh, say you know how to do this programming language and you're a designer, but you might not know like UX or something, right? Or you might have to figure out how to do some kind of team matching. All of these are actually supposed to help you, right? And these processes are actually helping teams form. And this is kind of what makes education hackathons very fun. You get to meet new people, you get to work on new things, and hey, you might just win something, right? So that's the first archetype, right? An education hackathon. The second type is what I call social hackathons. And what's interesting about them is that, well, the truth is, working in tech, especially after COVID, can be somewhat lonely, right? Like we are very used to working in distributed teams or even decentralized teams where you might only see your team lead like once a week for the stand-up or something, right? And that is even worse when you look at developers across the entire ecosystem. That can be very difficult for different communities that want to sustain their developer ecosystems, especially in open source projects, right? Social hackathons, such as the one that occurred at FOSSASIA, I think 2 weeks ago, is a good way to bring together developers across the space. More senior developers can play the role of being a mentor, right? And you might be mentored by incredible people that you feel just amazed to be basking in the limelight with. And for new people, right, this is a good chance for you to meet other developers that you might form a lifelong friendship with. And so I think social hackathons are generally a little better for people that have like some kind of working experience or who have gone to hackathons before. That being said, some people are just naturally social, right? And so if you come across a hackathon where there are many like side events, where there are lots of like social mixers, that's a good time to meet people. Generally, these hackathons tend to be paired together with conferences. So it's a really good chance for you to also go for the conference, meet new people, and the best way to make friends is to build something together, right? To bring out that tinkerer in you. So that's social hackathons. In my experience at Angel Hack, we have done something called recruitment hackathons. As this name suggests, its goal is to find talent. A lot of projects actually do this as part of like succession planning. It's actually really difficult to figure out like, firstly, culture fit and also skill fit, right? And so what's the best way to figure out whether a developer or a group of developers might be perfect for your project? Well, I mean, just getting them to build something tends to be the best method. And so recruitment hackathons are something that we have done for quite a few clients, especially banks. They tend to use this as part of their recruitment process. As a student, actually, it's a really good opportunity for you to practice. I mean, ultimately, you got to go for coding interviews, right? But there's no better way of getting a foot in the door by showing a project that you have built using the software stack that your target bank or your target team or company is already using, right? So that's actually a really good chance for you to get a foot in the door. So here is our overall taxonomy of hackathons. But I'd like you to take a pause and think about it a little differently, right? Over the last 2 days or 3 days when I've been talking to students and people, I think generally you kind of see hackathons as a competition, right? It's like a chance for you to compete and win, right? To try and like do well and to stand out amongst the crowd. Maybe take the chance to think about it more of as a learning experience, something that is a part of your developer journey. And so I think a better way to look at hackathons is to see them as community touch points, right? Now, it's important, and I think for us as a generation that has survived and gone through COVID, we truly appreciate being there in person. Physical community interactions are things that I think previously we didn't appreciate as much, but after COVID, we have realized that it's something extremely important, and I'd like to encourage even students to even try running your own hackathons, right? It might seem daunting as a kind of like an event organization perspective, but actually it can be pretty fun, right? It's like hosting a party where you get food and you get drinks and you hang out and you build something together, right? As Angel Hack, I think that's kind of our bread and butter. We hosted hackathons in really interesting places with really interesting projects and companies. I remember years ago we did one in Malaysia at the floor of one of the largest shopping malls, right? Like, that's really interesting. You know, you get to put developers at the forefront. That's something that we absolutely love to do. So, from a project perspective, let me change the frame a bit. What does this taxonomy do for you, right? I think when you look at these three things, they help you achieve different outcomes, especially from a developer relations perspective. The first one being an education hackathon. The goal is to really help to lower the barrier of entry, especially for new technologies, right? There is a time trade-off, opportunity cost, right? You could be doing literally anything else than learning something new. And that can be challenging, right? Especially for new and upcoming technologies where the tooling might be broken or just like half done, right? All that can be exhausting. education hackathons are really good. It's two ways, right? You get to learn about the shortcomings in your product, something that your developers can focus on, that can help you with your product roadmap, your feature roadmap. For a user perspective, right, it's a chance for you to put yourself at the forefront, right, and use new cutting-edge tools, right? Like 2 weeks ago, we did a hackathon with OpenAI's credits, right? Now, that was something that I didn't expect myself to have a chance to do, but the attendees of the hackathon were absolutely amazed for this opportunity to use the OpenAI API to build something, right? The second one is for social hackathons. I think for that, from a project perspective, you do need to maintain some kind of momentum for your project. It's kind of like this old phrase about love, right? Like a moving candle or a moving flame won't go out, right? So I think that's kind of like a good analogy for this. A community needs love, right? And you need to make sure that you see each other and you have constant interaction. If not, it's going to be very difficult to be top of mind. For the last one, it's a bit more obvious. In this day and age, talent is very hard to find. It's very hard to figure out what kinds of modalities to engage talent in a way that stands out beyond just some kind of LinkedIn post or job board. And hackathons are actually a pretty good way for doing this. It's kind of like a fun way for recruitment and a good chance for you to figure out your own recruitment processes even. So for us at Angel Hack, we've come up with different modalities to engage the community. The first one is something we call Learn and Earn, where projects can put up bounties or through boot camps, and people like students or developers can come in and do things and they get rewarded for trying something new. Right. For social hackathons, this is a bit more straightforward. We do hacker houses and typical physical hackathons. For recruitment, for that it's a bit more focused and a bit more like venture-ish. And so we do things like incubators and accelerators. Now I'm going to take the chance to share some old case studies that we did at Angel Hack. It's been a while, but I think they're still somewhat relevant. So recently, I think the DevCon team has been at FOSSASIA today, so I wanted to pull up this example where we worked together with Google Cloud to teach people how to run Ethereum validator nodes, right? And basically, 397 people participated in trying this out. What's a similar parallel, right? If you have new hardware, for example, that you want people to use, this is one modality for you to try. Next. At Angel Hack, we work together with the Singapore government to help out during COVID. And so what we did was to work closely with the industry to figure out what are some industry needs and then match them with like learning needs. And we had a really high placement rate through this kind of like semi-bootcamp that we ran. Now, like I mentioned about new technologies, we work with IBM to get people to try different quantum technologies. This is something that is super cutting edge, right? And to have 700 people try out quantum computing for the first time, I can guarantee you in 6 years, right, I will be able to see some people come up to me at conferences and be like, this was the first time I used quantum computing and now I'm a researcher. And that's the kind of impact that you can create in the space. Lastly, this is something that I find quite interesting. We worked together with NASA to run a hackathon with the open source rover challenge to figure out how we could help with the different Mars rovers. So I have 30 seconds left, and I know that the next speaker is somebody that is highly anticipated. So I'm going to quickly move on to the last piece, which is actually what we're here for. The last thing is that actually Angel Hack is hosting an event at Ho Chi Minh City on the 27th to 28th of April. And I'd like to encourage people to sign up and come for the event because this is going to be a large education and social hackathon. And for that, we have very graciously put up a $180,000 prize pool for hackers. And so I'm just going to leave a QR code here for as long as I can, but please scan it and sign up for the hackathon. This one has a discount code, so it's free for you. But if you want a shot at winning the $180,000 prize pool, please scan it and I will leave it as long as I can. Okay? So thank you so much. I'm QZ. You can see me nearby and I'll be around. Okay? Thank you.